In this video, I'm going to go over some gap and go trades for the week of February 20th through the 23rd. I have 13 tickers to go through. Hi everyone, it's Dow on the Dow. First up is Boeing. We ended the week at $203.89, down 0.70%. This is where we ended at the middle of the trend. To the north side of that takes us to a gap that begins at roughly 204.81, closes out at 205.21, and above that at resistance and a potential take profit area, 205.87, 206.80, and this gap forms at basically 4 standard deviations, and that is 207.88, closes out at 209.24. I do not expect this to close out on Tuesday, but if we touch this area, I will anticipate a pullback as people take their profits and they run. After that gap, there's another one to the north side at 217.69 and another one that closes out at 222.69. I've been tracking these for quite some time. As you may know, Boeing tanked and created some big gaps. Now we are trying to fill them to the upside. As for price targets to the south side from where we are, there is a gap that starts at 203.38. We've touched it several times, but it is still in play. And then this gap to the south side at 202.51, negative 2 standard deviations, and another level of support, 202.85, 201.10. This gap closes out at $200.48 and negative 4 standard deviations, and another potential buy-in area and support, $200.13. And then you can see this huge whopper that will take us down to 196.98, and then this one to about 193.85. And then this one to roughly 191.98. I talked about them in my previous gap and go trades if you want to take a look at that. But yeah, we've got a lot of landmines to the south side with Boeing, even though we've seen some upside movements, but plenty of great opportunities to swing trade to the upside and obviously to the downside if you'd like to go short. The next one is Nike. I'm in Boeing, I'm in Nike as well. So we are right here at support and resistance. From down here going up, this turns into resistance. So we have to break through this area. So to the north side at the middle of the trend is 103.93. A gap forms at 104.68, closes out at 106. Your next levels are 106.47, 107.75, 109.02. This gap forms to the upside at 110.17, closes out at 122.40. And that would take us to a 1-year price target of 121.45, up 17% from where we are. This is one buy-in area for me, and I am upside down on these shares. So I really do need to, as I mentioned, no, I'm sorry. I'm up on these shares, but I have other shares that I am upside down on for my mom. But once we hit 122, I think I will bail out for her. Now, to the south side, 101.40, $100.05, and another level of support and a potential buy-in area as well, 98.76. Ignore all those lines, previous support and resistance, and buy-in areas as well. So I think I bought in at 94.42 for hers previously. And Uber. This is a new one for this week. Let me set my lines so I will know that's the beginning of a new week. Now we are at 78.41, down 3.66%. To the north side takes us to a gap fill, closing out at 81.26, the middle of the trend and resistance, $82.86, where we will probably grind to the middle of the trend, whether it's going up, sideways, or down, but I just like to follow that trend. The calculations are made for you. You don't have to think about that on the linear. And this is a previous price target when I checked on it last week because it changes all the time. So now it's 86.35. So I like to keep my eye on that as well. The ball always changes. 88.02, 90.52, and 93.17. I have this on my gap and go trades because this will easily get filled, I think, on Tuesday. If we continue to go up, and we are going up, that is an upward channel there, and the RSI is, let me move this out of the way now because it's hard to see, going straight up. So yeah, I'm pretty confident about that one. Now to the south side, because there's always a south side to be aware of. It could wick down there and bounce right back up. So -2 standard deviations, which we're very close to, is 77.76. 75.20, this gap forms at 74.35. And -4 standard is 72.54, closes out at $69. BABA, I'm in this one. We are at support. I will anticipate a bounce on Tuesday, and we're in upward channel. As you can see, RSI is oversold, and for me at support. So I will anticipate this to turn around this week, this upcoming week. So to the north side, and from where we are, as we go up, this turns into resistance. So you have to bust through these areas. So it might give you a little bit of a fight. 74.19, 74.89, 75.59. This gap forms at 75.71. I've tracked this for quite some time. Okay, and this line is at 75.92 and 76.29. These price targets up here for gap fills, we are not in that channel, not in the zone. Don't even think we're going to get there on Tuesday or maybe even this week. This is going to test us. We will be all over the map with this, but this is something to look forward to the upside. I anticipate price to stay within -2 and 2. Anything outside of that is an outlier. Fingers crossed that you hit it, but I won't bank on it. Unless we are up here or here, then I anticipate it to hit 3 and 4, but we're not there. So I'm keeping it realistic. Now to the south side at -4 standard deviations, which is a possibility because we're going down, but then we could shoot up. Wait, I got to move this out of the way again. See, we're still going down, so BABA could still go down. And looking left, we went down as far as, 20. So we're at that point too. So here we are at 10. So we could go even farther down and then correct. We always correct. No stock, no RSI continues to fall without finally rebounding. I've never seen one. Okay. So that will take us down to 68.64. Other landmines to the south side take us to 65.29. Remember, always check the monthly time frame. That's what I look for investing and knowing when things could possibly turn around. Doesn't mean it will, but something that's been around for a long time, such as BABA. Yes, there's tons of manipulation, Chinese stock. People are scared, but obviously there's money to be made. Set your stop loss and your stop limits if you aren't in this for the long haul. Next one, SLB. I've talked about this many times. I cannot wait for this thing to close out. Now let me give you the price points first. All right, we are at 48.57 to the north side. Support 48.95. a gap starts at 49.05, 49.47, 49.71, 49.96, and this gap finally fills out at 53.03. And I think that's the only gap I'm tracking, yeah, for this one. And now for your price targets to the south side. 48.44, 48.20, 47.95. Next one, Altria Group. Ended the week at 40.18. To the north side takes us to 40.31 at resistance and a potential take profit area. And looking left, just right here, this is sticking out at me. No stock stays up at this level without falling back down. People are taking their profits and locking in and leaving. Okay, so down here, support and a bounce. So let me do this again as I got sidetracked. 40.31, 40.39, and 40.47. So the gap that I am looking for will take us all the way to 42.40. We are not in that channel, not in the zone, not even close. Something to be aware of on the long side. 1 year price target, 46.26. Well, we have to get to that level to get to that level. And not there. But this level and this level is a possibility. And to the south side, that would be 39.99, 39.92, and 39.83. The next one is Exelon. This gap is closed out. We are at support to the north side, 35.13, 35.38. A gap forms at 35.43. $35.52, the gap closes out at 35.57 and 35.64. I shouldn't even give you 4 standard deviations because the likelihood of it hitting is not, it's not going to happen on Tuesday. Now to the south side, 34.89, 34.76, 34.64. Pfizer, I'm in this one for my mom. $27.62, $27.75, $28.05. Oops. Command Z to reset that if you don't know the quick keys. $28.20, $28.35, and $27.43, $27.29. This gap forms at $27.23-ish, closes out at -4 standard deviations, $27.13. And on the monthly time frame, this is looking very attractive now. Note the bounce here starting to go up. Finally, there's a rotation going on that I see in the pharmaceutical companies. If you look up Pfizer, if you look up BMY, which I'm also in, turning up. mRNA, let me see, going down though, but we are higher than where the other ones are. And there was another one, I can't remember, but the money is in the treatment, not in the cure, which is very sad. The pharmaceutical companies will not stay down forever. All right. That's Pfizer. Let's go to PCG. We ended the week at 16. Oh, I need to move this line because it gets confusing. This will be on Fridays. There we go. Let me move it out of the way so you can see though. we are at support. Resistance, a gap starts at 1654, 1656. That gap fills at roughly 1664, 1669, 1675, and 1682. The next one is 1636, 1629. And is there another gap? Nope, that's it there. And we are in an upward channel, so I think finally Pacific Gas and Electric may be able to close out this gap this week because we're finally turning up. And I have noticed a rotation also in the utilities sector. So if you're interested, check that out as well. That whole sector. D for Dominion. What else? I forget now, but back to the gap and goes. 1630 ended for the week for RIVN. Middle of the trend, 1654, 1693. This gap begins at 1711, closes out at, what's that, 1778. All right, so that starts there and closes out here at 1730. Again, I do not anticipate this gap to close out on Tuesday, but we are finally in an upward channel there, so that's nice to see. To the south side, 1616, 1597, 1578. TSLY. If Tesla is too expensive to trade, because it gets whipped around and it's hard to swallow all, when you're spending that kind of money with shares like I do, because I don't do options, but this might be a better price entry for you at 916. All right, to the middle of the trend, 926, 941, 949, and 956. And we can look forward to this gap closure at 974 and many other gap closures, because remember, Tesla tanked and that created all the gaps. So on the flip side, the positive side, there will be gaps to fill to the upside. And that will take us all the way to roughly 1052. Not in the zone, not in the channel. Don't hold your breath. We're not even close. We could potentially get to this level on Tuesday and whip around and grind slowly up, hopefully. And then obviously some movements to the south side too, but hopefully, fingers crossed, more ups than there are downs. But 912 to the downside, 904 and 897. This gap closes out at 878. This will eventually close. I don't know when, because we're not in that channel, not in the zone yet, but when it gets close, I'll definitely keep track of that. But this is a long ways off to get there. SOFI, I'm in this one for myself and for my mom. We ended the week at 836, down nearly 2%. To the north side, middle of the trend, 856, 876, 886, and 895. We can look forward to this gap that starts at 903, closes out at roughly 963, and then another one closing out at 994, and then another one after that. I've done videos on this for my other gap and go trades and my gap recaps, and I think that's the last one I'm tracking at 1129. Fingers crossed we get there. I do have some shares that I'll hold for the long term, but I do want to get out on some of them and take a profit on it. Lock it in and leave when the time is right. And the time is not now. 828, 818, 812. This one will close at roughly 802. And do I have any other ones? Nope. I purchased some at this level for myself and my mom, and then also down here a couple times. But yep, I'm in this one deep. NEO is the last one, finally. Talked about this one many times. 614, up 0.82% to the north side. Middle of the trend is 624, 640, 648, and 656. To the north side takes us to 716. And I think that's the last of the ones that I have been tracking. Yay. All right, I'd like to put new tickers on my gap and go trades, but this one, I've been in it for a long time. So we gapped up, notice, and then I anticipate a gap down, and we finally, see when you make this bigger, it looked like it touched here, but it did not. That was a false alarm. We were not out of the clear yet. So here, it finally touched. Okay, and now the next one is at $6 in, probably not on Tuesday, but you know, we could go down in the middle of the week. This thing could turn around. And then this one opens up, closes out at 571, and then this nasty one, this landmine at 538-ish. All right. And that does it for my gap and go trades for the week of February 20th through the 23rd. Thank you so much for watching, and have a great trading week.